Hello, hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Double AD, the greatest place in all of cyberspace. And I'm your host, the old school AB, and today we're going to take a trip in the DeLorean, going back in time to our childhoods as we discuss all things 80s. That's right, we're going to talk about Thundercats, Care Bears, and monster trucks, everybody. No. Seriously, we'll discuss some of the more pivotal films, sports, games, unforgettable moments, in a little show I like to call the Iconic 80s. And speaking of nostalgia, joining me today on this discussion, we've got some Double AD alumni in the house. We've got the one and only Miss Junk, who you may know is also doing a Spam of the Month Club series with me here on this channel. How are you doing today, Miss Junk?
Good. In fact, all my iconic moments were about spam. At least I wanted them to be, but I knew Biff would not approve. So that was the only reason why I wanted to choose 80 spams. How someone can not like spam is beyond me, but that's for another episode when Biff is not here to talk about.
Right. Let's see, we can't defend himself, right?
Right.
And speaking of Biff, after coming back to the show after a long absence, I mean, it's been a long time since he's been on Double AD, right? My longtime friend and former, I want to stress the word former, 8-time ABW PLE Predictor Heavyweight Champion of the world, Biffed by Adam West. Welcome back to the show. Are you ready to hold court today, buddy?
I am. And by the way, I do like ham.
Okay.
So, and I do sometimes cook ham in a pan and use Pam, but there's no S anywhere near my ham or my Pam.
So how do you make it sizzle?
Oh, sizzle.
Wow,
sizzle pork.
Absolutely. Well, many times I'm smoking the pork.
Right. You know there's ham in spam.
I'm sure there is, but I don't know what the hell else is in it. That's the problem.
Pork shoulder.
Pork shoulder, potato starch, salt, a little sodium nitrate, but that's just a touch. Just enough to.
Right. Chef's kiss right there. I'm telling you, one of these days, buddy, I'm going to get you to eat a can. I'll make you lose a bet, or I'll do something. I'll trick you somehow.
Like we'll hear you're in a coma for a day, and we'll be like, "Quick, get the spam."
No, it'll be the result of the spam.
Oh boy,
it puts me in the coma.
Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you what. I am ready to do this, but before we dive in, please don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and be sure to join us in the discussion below, because this isn't a monologue. This isn't a dialogue. It's a monologue, or it's not a monologue. It's a dialogue. How does that work? I'm not sure. I think I lost track of what I was trying to say.
It's a dialogue.
It's a dialogue. There you go.
Just
dialogue is
talking.
Two people.
The dialogue.
What do you call it when it's multiple people?
Discourse.
Online. Yeah, a discourse. There we go. It's a discourse.
It's a discourse, everybody.
It's a community.
Yes.
Right. It's
an AAD community.
That's right. And if you'd like to join that community, there's a link to my Discord server in the channel below. So it's always down there. You guys can always join us. We're always happy to have new folks. But also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know what your most iconic 80s moments will be as we go through this list. But without further ado, I want to kick things off, and I want to ask just a real quick over-top question. How hard was it for you guys to come up with these picks today? I know that it was easy for me once I focused in on what I wanted to do, but where was your guys' mindsets when it came to these picks, I guess?
I'd say for me, I just it wasn't overly hard. There were a lot of things, like there were obviously ones that didn't make the top three for me, but I wanted them to be vast. I wanted to be them from different genres. I have one from sports, one from TV, one from comedy and movies and things along those lines. But yeah, I mean, there were so many. I mean, in such an amazing decade. But I also wanted to pick ones that were maybe off the board and a little more personal to me than so we wouldn't have a lot of duplicates.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because we could probably make this into a series, for God's sakes. Yeah. This could probably be episode 1 of 5,000 episodes. Oh, yeah. But anyways, I digress. Miss Junk, what about you?
I think the more you think about it, like the more confused you get. So I'm just like, you know what? Once I had three, I'm like, stop thinking about it. That's it.
That's a
You
good
know,
approach. That's a good approach.
like because you could really like look at everything that happened and then slowly rank it, and you just be like, wait a second. No, this is more important than this, And there's one, I mean, there's one that I know for sure we both have, like that I have at least with one other person, and then the other two, I'm almost positive no one has it. So I think it'll be good. I think we'll have 7 or 8 different ones. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We'll see how it happens. And to start us off, maybe what I'll do, and we haven't really discussed how we're going to do this. Maybe we'll do it round robin. Maybe we'll take it around the room, and each one of us will give our top pick. And I'll start actually with Miss Junk. Why don't you please give us your first pick? Maybe it's not your top pick, but maybe it's your first pick.
Well, this might be Biff and I guarantee it. The Miracle on Ice. Is that the one you picked, Biff?
Yes, that is one of mine. And by the way, this was February of 1980, so it really kicked off the decade.
Okay, so I don't know about this, so I'm excited to learn about it. So
I think we can both talk about it, because I mean, it was just one. It's like the reason why it meant a lot to me. Like I grew up 20 miles away from Lake Placid, which is where it happened. So it was really close. It was really close to home, and I would hear people talk about it. And it wasn't actually televised that night. Which
it happened during the day.
Yeah, it was televised during the day when not many people watched it. My dad actually was able to go to a couple of the games. He went to the one where they tied with Sweden and one other where they beat Czechoslovakia, I think, at the time. But it was just, I mean, like the Miracle on Ice. It's just the team that should like the ultimate Cinderella story is probably this might be for American sports, especially the biggest moment in American sports in the 20th century, in my opinion.
And widely considered globally as the biggest upset in the history of sports.
Yeah, really.
No, AB, you might not. So the whole big thing, it was like a bunch of college kids essentially, and people or kids who just graduated college against a team against Russia that was dominating, that had played together for years. They had won like something like, what was it, four gold medals in a row. Mm-hmm. They beat the NHL All-Stars. They were just a dominant team. And at the time, the NHL wouldn't, like the Soviets weren't allowed to compete in the NHL.
That's right.
They weren't allowed to leave the USSR.
Right.
So it was the best players in there. And it was like when they, all they did day in, day out for their entire career, they were paid by the state to be professional hockey players. So they would, and then
by the government.
The U.S. team had like 6 months to play together to try and win. And they were just like, and if you look at the team, they're only like I think Neil Broughton's the only one who is in the NHL Hall of Fame, and maybe he may not even be, but that's for the most part. As they never really made it in the NHL. They played a couple years, but they were never great. But like Ramsey played a few years. There were a few, but
it was the start of really my hockey career, because I played hockey, I still do to this day as a 50-something, but witnessing that game was one of the first things that got me. I mean, I was already a hockey fan, but that one is the one that cemented and said, I need to play this game. If you think about 1980, you think about the Cold War. You think about, the Soviet Union, not Russia. This is the Soviet Union. They were militant. They wanted to be dominant in every single thing, from sports to the space program to the nuclear war, and being at the top and the most feared country on the planet. Yeah. And as Ms. Junk said, that hockey team was made up of grown men that 24 hours a day trained like military.
Kind of like Rocky IV, when Dolph Lundgren had all those specs. Correct. And Rocky had to train in the snow, and
everyone like now people like think Russia's our enemy, but it's like not like that. Not like that.
Right.
There might be a nuclear war, so we'd hide under our desks because that would protect us. Those, which actually they probably were lined with lead paint, so they
Right.
probably would have protected us.
Yeah.
But and the Soviets beat the U.S. basketball team, which we were dominant in just 8 years earlier
Yeah.
in the Summer Olympics. So it was, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, so
actually,
that's
that's a backstory also that we
yeah,
can shine a light on because I had written that down too about the 72 Olympics,
Mm.
where it was actually the opposite, where the United States had won 63 consecutive and had never lost at the Olympics basketball games.
yeah.
And in a very controversial fashion, the U.S. lost by 1 point to Russia after scoring the basket to take the lead. It got reviewed and they screwed up the clock and it got replayed like 3 times. It was almost
Mm.
like a comedy routine. And Russia ended up being the U.S.
Right.
in the 72 Olympics in Germany. And that at the time was considered one of the biggest upsets in the history of sports. But that was still grown men versus grown men.
Well, no,
Yeah.
actually, we had college students still. Like
Oh, we did.
they only allowed amateurs.
Okay.
It wasn't until the Dream Team where in '92 where they
Right.
allowed
Yeah.
professionals. But
But
we invented the game. We were the only team. We were known as the country where basketballs. And
yeah.
then the Soviets. I think it was something like there was this exchange program where like they said like the U.S. will host the Bolshoi Ballet, and then Russia will host the NCAA all or like the basketball all stars, and then they're like, oh, we need to start practicing it so we can beat the U.S. at this game.
Right. And it just so the hockey was at the time so to put it in perspective, a couple weeks before the Olympics, Herb Brooks, who is the famous coach of this band of college kids, uh, at Madison Square Garden in New York, played an exhibition of his team against the Soviet Union. And in New York, in Madison Square Garden, New York City, the Soviets beat the United States, pounded the United States 10-3.
Wow.
Oh, 10 to, it was 3 or 4, I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I think it was 3. But that was just weeks before the Olympics. And a lot of people questioned Herb Brooks as to why you would do that so close. Why would you put these college kids up against the greatest team in the world in any sport they were considered weeks before? And it was very controversial that they played that game and they got killed. But famously, Herb Brooks, and for those listening that don't know the story, there is an unbelievable movie made by Disney
Miracle.
called Miracle.
Yep. And there's a great documentary called "Do You Believe in Miracles?" that was on HBO. If you want to watch. Yeah.
But there's an even better documentary of the story from the Russian side.
Yep.
They do a documentary where they go to the Russians because this was considered almost treasonous.
Right.
Losing to
I
the
think
United States.
Was it a 30 for 30 that did it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yes, I believe it was.
Mm.
But they told the story and humanized the Soviet side.
Yeah.
Because there were so many things like the leadership of the Soviet Union, as Ms. Junk said, the hockey team was run by the government. So they didn't. I mean, the goalie, who was the best goalie in the world, his name was Vladimir Tretiak. He gave up a soft goal against the United States in that semifinal game, and they pulled him out of it. He was the greatest goalie in the world. He gave up one bad goal, and they were like, "You sit on the bench."
Wow.
Did he give up one at the very end of the period too?
At the very end of the period,
Yeah.
very soft goal. He kicked the puck out when he could have controlled it and put it into the corner, and he kicked it straight out. And they did not think the United States had enough speed to get down there and get to the puck, and they did, and they scored right with like 1 second left in the period to go into the third period tied. And they pulled the goalie and brought in their backup, and the winning goal by the U.S. later. Scored by Mike Ruzioni, was a very soft goal and probably would have been stopped by the starting goalie.
Although,
so it was.
They say their backup goalie was the second best goalie in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was just it was the story of, as Herb Brooks said in his speech to the team in the locker room prior to the game, he said, if we play this team 10 times, they'll beat you 9. but not tonight. Not this game. Tonight, we are the greatest team in the world.
Yeah.
And that's what he told this group of college kids playing these grown men that were like soldiers for their country. They were AB. You very much like Drago, like that type of feel to it. Yeah.
I mean, they I'm sure that's why they wrote Rocky IV.
Now it makes sense. Yeah,
for sure. But no, and actually that wasn't even the gold medal game, which is but another story.
Was not.
Like we could talk like for an hour about just this.
I was like, wow.
That's definitely both of our picks for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the as Mr. Junk said, it's very much confused by most people to think that was the gold medal match. It was not.
Right.
And they were behind at the end of the second period in the gold medal match.
Yeah.
And Herb Brooks just walked in the locker room and said, if you guys lose this game, you will hate yourself for the rest of your lives.
Well, he dropped an
after
F-bomb.
just beating that Russian team.
He dropped an F-bomb though.
You'll regret this for the rest of your fucking life, he said.
Yes.
And they went out and
they came from behind AB? Again. What's with the potty mouth? Are you trying to demonetize AB?
Oh, what? Oh, we can't swear anymore?
Yeah, it's all good. I'll bleep you.
Okay.
Speaking of being bleeped, let's move on. Gosh, since that was your guys' too, I suppose maybe I'll make it a perfect trifecta and talk about one of the most iconic things I could think of from the 80s. I really pulled it from my head, and I was thinking about it. I'm going to go Rubik's Cube. What an amazing little invention that cost nothing to make, and it was like the pet rock of the 80s in a way. Everybody had one, and I'll go over it a little bit in short order. It was originally invented in 1974 in Hungary, and it was originally
Euro Rubik.
Right, and it was originally known as the Magic Cube, and then it was renamed later to Rubik's Cube after the inventor. And at first, it wasn't meant to be a puzzle. Did you know that?
No, it was actually a sex toy. Anything can be a sex toy when you put your mind to it.
Right. I suppose. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know where it would go or what you would do with it, but there you go, folks. No, there was supposed to be, I fucking lost my place now.
You're trying to think of where you're going to put the cube.
You just dropped an
Yes,
F-bomb.
I did. I know. Here? Well, this episode was down the toilet, folks. He didn't create a puzzle, right? I mean, he didn't set out to create a puzzle. He set out to create a way to solve a structural problem. And he was trying to put like an internal pivot mechanism that would enable another track to move independently of another, right? And so he didn't discover he made a puzzle until he screwed up the ball, or the cube itself, and then he took him about a month to fix it. So if it took the creator a month to fix it, then let that be your guide, folks.
Yeah.
From 1980 to 1983, the cube sold over 200 million units. That's crazy. Think about that. In 3 years, almost every person in America had a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. And the population back then, it wasn't over 7 billion. It was about 2 billion.
Right. It was a lot less people, folks.
Yeah.
So, and of course, by 1983, the cube's popularity had dwindled, but it still exists a popular puzzle today, going far beyond its, 3x3 format. It spawned several books on how to solve it. There were several speed tournaments, world record holders. There was even a flippin' cartoon where the kids had a magic Rubik's Cube that fell out of a crate that they found, and they had to solve it. And when they solved it, all their problems were solved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It ran for like 12 episodes. It was not a very popular cartoon by any stretch.
They turned everything into a cartoon in the 80s.
They did.
Anything
Mr.
that
T
was
had a
fad
cartoon.
became a cartoon. And,
right.
And like I don't want to jinx us with something because we might be mentioning some of our things later on. But suffice it to say, it became a cereal and then it became a cartoon.
Exactly.
Or vice versa. And
yeah.
Or they made cartoons out of video games and things like that. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
Something
I used
tells
to watch them all on Saturday morning.
Right.
something tells me we'll touch on that later too.
Yeah.
But
That's why I didn't say
no,
anything
it's
about-
all good. It's look,
Yeah.
we could probably make a series out of this, you guys. I mean, I'm just saying. Gosh, there's so many things we could talk about. I just think that it's remarkable how the Rubik's Cube has still held up today. There were three different ways to solve it, right? You could solve it legit, which I could never get more than, say, 3, maybe 4 sides done.
I did once. I solved it once.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
Oh, it's like I don't even know. I'd put it down, then the next day I'd pick it up, then I put it down, then the next day I'd pick it up.
But it took like a year?
I mean, I don't remember, but it definitely it wasn't like a speed thing where it's like,
right,
okay, 4 seconds. But it was like, yeah, eventually I finished it.
Right. Wow. I don't think I've ever really taken the time to solve. I love screwing it up. I love flipping the box. I love flipping the colors. But there was only a couple different ways to solve it, right? You could solve it legit, like Miss Junk did. You could try to peel the stickers off, which I knew that wasn't going to take because I can't put the stickers back on as squarely as the machine could, right? Or you could take it apart. And that's what I did. I'd take it apart and put it back together and voila, it's fixed. I loved it. That was my, I was into cheat codes long before cheat codes were a thing, kids.
I certainly never solved it. I'm
No?
not even, I mean, no, not even like close. I got to the point where because it was just in our household and my sister was older than me and she would try to solve it. I just got to the point where I would try to take our household Rubik's Cube and make as many colors in each line as possible. Like make it as messy as possible.
Right.
So my sister couldn't figure it out.
Well, we all have goals in life. So I suppose some people use it for fun and some people use it for torture or sex toys, as Miss Junk would have you believe. But
I'm solving one right now without my hands.
Oh no, off the rails again. This whole episode is probably going to be terribly low on the. But you know what? I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Okay. All right. Then we can swear.
Fuck it.
All
We
right.
can swear on this fucking episode. Fuck it.
All right.
I don't care. All 26 people who watch it will be offended.
Well, you said this was a reunion.
It is.
Of
Well,
AAD. We certainly swore on AAD.
we did, and spoiler alert, kids. We're going to do another double AD legit reunion show next week. So, that's breaking fucking news for you guys there. But we're going to be doing another big show, and we're going to have some great updates. I'll get to that at the end of the episode.
And then we're doing our maple spam review.
And then that's maple spam, right? And then double AD is a cooking show, man. I'm telling you, we are hot.
Wow, the plate is full.
This is the place to be.
Sweeps in a month.
By the way, my family, what the family business is on my mother's side, is maple syrup up in northern Vermont near the Canadian border. My family makes maple syrup.
Oh, wow.
So my family is equally as disgusted as I am that you're doing a maple spam
All right.
episode. That is.
Well, it's got to be done. It's got to be done for science, man.
What do you want us to do? I mean,
as someone that's put the damn spigot in the tree, oh my God, what are you doing?
all right. We're enough. I don't mind the F word,
Right.
but blasphemy against spam. I'm sorry. That's right. On my line.
Right. This is about the 80s. Let's class it back up, shall we?
Class it up. I think Biff should go before me because I just went before him last time and stole his first one. So I think
all right.
Only fair.
I think that's only fair. Let's go, Biff. What is your next iconic 80s moment, buddy?
So I would say it's actually a breakup of a TV show couple. And it was the split of Sam and Diane.
Wow.
And Cheers.
Wow. Okay.
This was an iconic moment, I
Yeah.
think, for a couple reasons. First and foremost, Shelley Long, who played Diane Chambers, decided at that point in her career that she was going to leave this very successful television show. She decided that for a few reasons. And the first reason she did it, and I think is the reason that Cheers became, her leaving the show is actually allowed Cheers to become the greatest sitcom, in my opinion, in the history of television.
Interesting take.
Her leaving was huge because
Yeah.
she just felt that, you know, she just fully explored the character. And how long can you do the dumb jock, nerdy intellectual? How long can you do the same bit?
Mm-hmm.
And so she just really had felt it was played out, and she was actually very right. Cheers was off to a very slow start early on. Their first season, they were ranked 74th out of 77 television shows
Wow.
and were going to be canceled. And then they just said, let's just try a season 2. And season 2 is when that relationship between Sam and Diane really clicked. And the show took off through season 5 until Shelley Long left, and they broke Sam and Diane up.
Yeah.
The thought by the network and everyone that was the breakup of Sam and Diane would end the show, that there would really only be one more season without Diane Chambers. But what really happened is people like Fraser Crane was introduced in as dating Diane at one point in the show, and all of these things. And think about that, an ancillary character and what Fraser Crane became
Right.
in sitcoms and things along those lines, and how big that became as an offshoot character.
Kelsey Grammer has played Fraser Crane on television for close to 40 freaking years.
They just had
crazy.
They just had an online one.
Yeah,
they just had an online new season.
It's insane to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think the Sam and Diane relationship introduced Fraser Crane to television.
Yeah, that's pretty
insane. If you think about that,
so
you think about how iconic that introduction of that character, and Fraser Crane is one of my all-time favorite Cheers characters. And I did a podcast a ways back with AAD with a top 20 Cheers episode list. And what's really interesting, and this goes back to my Diane leaving Cheers saved the show and turned the show into an iconic show. Of my top 20, only 2 episodes had Diane Chambers in them.
Really?
Okay. And so 18 were post season 5. So there were 11 total seasons, 5 with Diane, 6 without. I have 18 of my top 20 episodes post Diane Chambers.
I liked it better with her on the show. I'm not going to lie, but I get your point. I 100% agree with you about the Sam and Diane breaking up being iconic, though, for sure.
Yeah, and I just think that I think she was brilliant to foresee that dumb jock, nerdy intellectual. There's only so many jokes you can make, and so being a huge Cheers fan, and as I said, I believe it's the greatest sitcom in the history of television. The Sam and Diane breakup was truly iconic.
Do you think that's down to the fact that the writers maybe didn't know what direction they should put that Diane character in to begin with? Or, I mean, it's not uncommon for a show to kind of repivot a character. And it just makes me wonder why they didn't just repivot her character instead of, her leaving. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the whole, behind the scenes thing there.
I mentioned one of the reasons she left was she felt like the character couldn't be developed,
right?
In the way you're saying, and maybe there were writers that could. I don't know. I mean, but the other thing is she truly was afraid of being typecast as Diane Chambers, and wanted to expand her career to film.
And how did that work out for her?
She did some decent things. I'm trying to think what movies she was in.
She did Money Pit, and then Troop Beverly Hills, and then that's about it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So maybe that didn't work. Also, she was a brand new mom at the time as well. Yeah. So I think she had a 1-month-old when she told Cheers she was not going to come back for season 6. So there were a few factors, but I believe, as much as I love Diane Chambers and love the early episodes of Cheers, I believe that her leaving was the best thing for the show.
Yeah. And you're probably right. I mean, Kirstie Alley was fantastic doing what she did. I mean, she was in many, many ways a perfect foil for Sam Malone, you know.
Yep.
Good looking
And it
woman.
allowed them to develop other characters.
Right, that Sam
It allowed them to really, because if you look at the first 5 seasons, there wasn't as much focus on Norm and Cliff and Paul and Frasier. And
right.
it was really it was the Sam and Diane show.
Right.
With all of them hanging around. But as soon as she left, and Kirstie Alley's character was brilliant in so many ways and so different to Diane. It just created a different environment. And it was.
Isn't Kirstie Alley the same character in every movie?
Yes.
That's what I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. She was great in it. She was, but she's still just being Kirstie Alley. She's like the female Rock. You know, she can only do one thing. But God bless her, she's trying her best.
But she could. But one thing she can do differently.
Oh, it's all right. I'm sorry. Oh, God rest. I'm sorry.
One thing she, God rest her soul. One thing she could do as a different character is weigh a different amount in each character.
Yeah. I never cared for her. But.
Yeah. She did a good job on Dancing with the Stars, I thought, but you know, that's another episode. Dancing with the Stars reviews.
Unfortunately, I'll have to sit that one out.
Right. Yeah. No.
So.
Yeah.
That's your guilty pleasure.
I think I'll miss that one too.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of Miss Junk.
Okay.
All right. Hey, what would you consider to be your next iconic 80s?
This is weird because this is something that I was never at all involved with, but only looked at it from the outside. But I think the Cabbage Patch Kid riots.
Oh my goodness!
Was one of the more iconic. Like this was the first time. Like first of all, for those of you who don't know what Cabbage Patch Kids are, they're these ugly, deformed dolls that are supposed to apparently be ugly babies that you're supposed to take care of. But no, I mean, but everyone was supposedly different, and they had like a birth certificate, and kids wanted this. Parents, like, it was featured on Newsweek, these dolls, and then the next week, during Christmas, parents just burst through the door, causing literal riots to get these dolls for their children. I mean, which when you think of Christmas, you think of, you know, massacres, you know,
right.
No, but it's just, now it happens every you know.
Right,
you know,
I remember that.
Again. Like before Tickle Me Elmo, before the riots for that, before the Big Mouth Billy Bass, before any of those things, Cabbage Patch Kids was the first one to really do it.
Right.
And I mean, I actually like Garbage Pail Kids. Like those were my thing. Like the cards, I thought those were absolutely classic.
Oh yeah.
But Cabbage Patch Kids is another thing where they immediately spawned everything from it. But the riots are what I mean. There was a TV show. There's a weird, you know, there was cereal, that sort of thing. But specifically, it was the riots and just like this, this ugliness of American parents in malls. It just it's continued. Like we see it all. We still see it. Like I don't know, probably not as much now, given how everything has shifted from malls to online shopping. But like every Black Friday for years, there would be just rushes of people storming through and like trampling other people, and it just I think it can all be traced back to Cabbage Patch Kids.
I was going to say, I think that was probably the first ever gotta have it hot, kill your neighbor for it toy that came out.
And it was the first time where there were these huge stores that would have this sort of stuff too. Before it was like mom and pop stores would just, if they had it, they had it, you know, but then the chains started having it and people started going to the chain. So it was this one place and they just stormed through the doors. So
was it KB Toy Stores?
Well, I think a lot of stores had. I mean, like department stores had it, like Kmart. I think was one of the big ones where there was like a riot. I think it was. I don't think Walmart was as big, but I think like Kmart was the big one where people would.
We had Bradley's too.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was a chain. That was like that was just like Kmart.
But Sears, JCPenney's, Ward's.
Yeah, nobody knows what these things are anymore. That's crazy.
I know. Caldor.
Caldor. That was the other one. We had Bradley's, Caldor, and oh
my lord. But no, I am with you. my sister had a Cabbage Patch Kid. You know, those things were insanely popular. Like I remember being in school and coming in after Christmas and kids bringing them in from show and tell to show you, hey, look, I have this Cabbage Patch Kid or whatever it is. I'm like, really?
My very first girlfriend in junior high brought her Cabbage Patch Kid into school, and I actually had to carry it around half the day.
Oh.
Why?
To care for it, because I was with this girl and it was our Cabbage Patch.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
the first abuse ever in to a Cabbage Patch doll.
It was
Sure.
it was the reason I never had children.
Right.
Yeah.
I took care of it. I shut it
that
in the car,
experience?
Good training.
In 6th grade, I learned I never wanted to have a child.
Right.
Well, part of the big appeal was that each one was different, and
Yep.
it came with a birth certificate.
Yep.
So whereas people would have, like, kids used to have, like, they would pretend this is my baby. You know, they'd have like dolls for little girls usually, and like, this is my baby, but they all look the same. But this one, because they're all individual, it added to that thing, and you know, and it just so
That's
stupid.
crazy.
I mean, they're so ugly. They're so ugly too. Just looking at them now, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. No, they are. They're terrible looking, and I don't understand what the mass appeal was with them from the word go, but that's not for me.
I also know glass houses.
Right?
But they're ugly looking.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I can actually use that as a way to morph into my next one, which the iconic 80s was the Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh.
And I had picked this, right, because I was a huge fan. I loved the Garbage Pail Kids growing up. It was a series of sticker trading parodies of the Cabbage Patch Kids, right? But for the sake of time, I'll just tell you that the Garbage Pail Kids were basically a throwback to a simpler time of trading cards, like Mars Attacks. Think about like that, from Mars Attacks trading cards and things like that. Topps knew what they were doing, right? Topps launched their original baseball card series in 1952, and after that, everything, right? And the Garbage Pail Kids might have been the creme de la creme for me, as far as I'm concerned, the cream of the crop. Did you guys know that trading cards were invented in the late 1800s, by the way?
And tobacco.
Tobacco, you're right. That's right. Promotional for tobacco products. So Topps really caught on and said, you know, we could make this into an industry.
They had something else called Wacky Packages. Which
I love Wacky Packages.
I like those more than Garbage Pail Kids, but I love Garbage Pail Kids. But what are your thoughts on the Garbage Pail Kids movie?
Oh, Lord, I was going to bring that up.
Sorry.
That was terrible. It bombed, and it was probably the last nail in the coffin for the brand, really. I mean, I think that film came out about 87?
Yeah.
Something like that. But, I mean, anyways, it was absolutely terrible. I mean, there were none of the iconic characters that were featured on the cards that were in the movie. You know, the plot was ridiculous. I don't know why the creatures, that's what they were. They weren't kids. They were creatures. Had these weird looking ugly heads that were uglier than the Cabbage Patch Kids, if you can imagine that. It's not worth looking for, folks. Don't go out and watch it. It's terrible. Just skip it, really. It's a terrible movie.
By the way, if there's anyone listening out there that had the Garbage Pail Kids movie on their bingo card for today, please put it in the comments.
But the thing is, like with the Garbage Pail Kids, people still collect them today. Do you know what the funny fucking thing is? I saw one on eBay. I was doing some research on this. I saw one on eBay selling for $32,000.
Oh.
Can you believe that?
And I'm sure I probably had it.
It was Nasty Nick. It was the vampire kid with the...
Okay.
I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
I'm sure I had it.
But the cool thing about the Garbage Pail Kids was each Garbage Pail Kid had like an A and a B, right? Yep. So like 8A, I think, was Atom Bomb, and 8B was Blasted Billy, right? So it was the same card, same art, just a different name. And you had to collect both of them. You had to get them both. And you had to get the rest of the whole series. I loved Garbage Pail Kids. They were banned in many schools.
Do you have a favorite character?
I don't know if I have a favorite character. It's been so long since I've looked at any of them.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Tattooed
hardly any of
Ted,
them.
maybe. I like the tattoo one. He was
Okay.
kind of cool. I can't think of any more. I know I remember Nasty Nick and those from looking it up. But yeah, Atom Bomb, Billy Blasted Billy, all of them were just fucking fabulous. Yeah, Garbage Pail Kids. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Today they wouldn't go down with any, they'd be like, that's another thing. But back then it was like, you were the shit if you had Garbage Pail Kids. You
I
were
do
the
think
man.
they still make them every once in a while. They'll put out like a
Yeah.
new series.
Yeah, they will, but they're not as popular, I don't think.
No,
No,
not even close.
Not even anywhere near as popular. But I actually liked it, so I thought that was a nice little segue from Cabbage Patch to Garbage Patch.
Did they ever
Pail.
get sued by Cabbage Patch Kids? Do you know?
I don't know. I can't imagine that they were, but I mean, how would you? It's parody.
Yeah, that's true. I was just curious.
Yeah. I know.
I'll Google it while you go to the next one.
Right. I know that when speaking of lawsuits, another '80s thing that we could talk about, The Greatest American Hero was an '80s television show, and since this is a comic book channel, let me get into the little DC spat that DC actually sued The Greatest American Hero for infringing on Superman, when the reality of it is that the character was nothing like Superman. It was more like Green Lantern. But
Right.
maybe that's a discussion for another episode. But
All right, there was a lawsuit filed by the creators of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Okay.
They settled out of court. Topps agreed to the following changes: modifying the characters to be less similar than Cabbage Patch Kids, such as body features, and changing to a new set
Right.
model sheets to guide the new style. And they changed the logo to less resemble Cabbage Patch Kids. They also changed it to the Garbage Gang for a period. Didn't take.
Oh, yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Sued Topps for trademark and copyright infringement.
Yeah. All the best stuff, kids. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yep, that's right.
Biff, I'm going to take it to you, buddy. What is your very last iconic 80s thing today?
So I can't wait to get Miss Junk's reaction to this.
Okay.
So this was an icon that rose so quickly in the 1980s to just superstardom. And it started in 1981. This was someone I heard a interview, and this is not the person, but I heard an interview with Chuck D from Public Enemy. And he was talking about growing up with this person in his backyard in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
And Eddie Murphy debuted in 1981 on Saturday Night Live. And Chuck D was telling the story of in Brooklyn, Eddie Murphy just blew up when he, this is a kid from the streets, and all of a sudden he's on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And Chuck D said his mom ran into him at a mall once. And Eddie Murphy looked at his mom and said, "This is nothing. You're going to see me in the movies in a few years." 1983, Trading Places. 1983, Delirious. One of HBO, huge feature. He was not the first to do that as a comic. There was Richard Pryor, there was George Carlin that had specials on HBO and everything prior, but it really changed in some capacity the comedy landscape. 84, a very underrated film that I completely recommend that holds up. Beverly Hills Cop, absolutely freaking love. Beverly Hills Cop is one of my all-time favorites.
It was a blockbuster.
Yeah, it was a big film.
87, he's back to the major comedy with Eddie Murphy, Raw. 88, Coming to America. He became an icon of the 1980s quickly and had one of the best decades, I think of anyone. No,
you're right. There's no telling. Miss Junk, I'm going to pick pick it over to you. What do you think about all
Oh,
that?
for
I
sure.
think it,
I mean, he was the guy of the '80s probably for the longest time. I
absolutely.
mean, like he was what he did for stand-up comedy. Absolutely, he was great. He was definitely one of the greats, but I don't consider him one of the best of all time,
No.
just based solely on the fact that it was really two albums and that was it.
Yeah.
The rest was more, a comedic actor and still funny, but I wouldn't put him anywhere near Pryor for but
Yeah. No.
but I mean in terms of like his career, what he brought to the '80s, just like all the movies and the fact that he was on Trading Place. You forgot 48 Hours was another
48
one.
hours. I
I
was
think that
going to
was
say
48
his,
that
Hours was
too.
before Trading Places.
yeah, that was his first one, I think.
Yep,
And
it was.
then I think Trading Places, he did an interview where he was talking about how he was next to like Denholm Elliott, Don Amici, and all these guys with like 30 years experience, and this is his second movie, and
He killed it.
you can't tell. I
No.
mean, he was great. He was great. He was the guy, and his two albums. I mean, everyone had those comedy albums. Even people that weren't stand-up comedy fans had those albums. I don't think they hold up now. I think if you listen to it now, you're like, all right, it's not as good. Whereas I think Pryor, you can play Pryor, and or
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't. I certainly agree with you. I wouldn't put him anywhere near a top list of comedians. But it just showed you he could do different things. I mean, I just remember Delirious. Delirious
Yeah.
was, I was 9 years old, and to sneak a listen to Delirious at 9 years old, I remember thinking that was the funniest stuff I've
Right.
ever heard in my life.
Was that the one with
Uh,
Ice Cream Man?
yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. I, Oh, yeah, that was sneaking a peek of Delirious. Like, we had the first remote control, but it had a wire that went straight to the cable box. So it was a wired remote control.
Oh yeah,
And since my parents didn't pay for HBO, if you lodged the dial between two channels, you could somehow make it out, and there was a line, but you could see a distorted view of HBO. And I remember just doing that and watching Delirious and just holding that dial
yeah.
in place just so I could hear every joke.
Right. AB
Yeah.
did that, but with porn,
I did. I did.
with Cinemax.
Cinemax.
Just the right. It was hard to have one hand on the knob and one hand on the other knob. It
Which
was
knob was bigger?
sadly the television knob.
All right,
Oh,
we're not monetized anymore.
no, we are not. It's all good. This episode went off the rails long ago, kids.
All right, all right.
But no, I would say, I loved Eddie Murphy. He was kind of like, and like you said, he's not Pryor level good, I don't think, but he certainly held his own in
Yeah,
everything that he did, and he was an absolute icon of the 80s.
for sure.
Yeah, music album.
He had I was going to say he had a music album,
My
didn't
girl
he?
loves to party all the time.
That's right.
He,
That's right.
When I was living in Albany at the time, he put that out, and he had a concert. No one had any idea that it was just going to be music, so they were borderline rioting at the fact that it wasn't a comedy show. I mean, it was after the release of the song "My Girl Likes to Party All the
Hmm.
Time," but everyone just assumed like it would be comedy. They were so
Right.
disappointed.
No, yeah. Oh my gosh.
By the way, another comment from Chuck D, from Public Enemy, because they grew up as friends. He said, in the hood back then, everyone thought Charlie Murphy,
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Eddie's brother, was going to be the one that made it.
yeah, yeah.
And
And he
Charlie
did,
Murphy.
but
He
not
did,
Yeah.
right.
You know what my favorite Charlie Murphy role is, by the way? If you had Charlie Murphy on your bingo card, please put that in the comments as well. Um,
True Hollywood Stories with Charlie Murphy.
I love that.
no, Charlie Murphy was the bad guy in CB4,
Oh wow,
which is obviously a parody
right.
of what's
It's
it called?
Chris Rock.
I've never
Yeah,
seen it.
Chris Rock. Oh, so it's a rap parody
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Basically telling a parody story of what's it called? Why am I drawing a blank? love this band. I love this group. The group
Public
from
Enemy?
Compton,
Oh, NWA.
NWA. It's basically telling a parody of NWA,
Okay.
where it's rappers that don't come from the streets, but pretend they do.
Okay. Maybe I will get into it
And
then. Yeah.
Chris Rock is the star.
Okay.
And Charlie Murphy is the villain.
Nice. Okay. Then I will. You know what? I've got so many things now.
Passed away a couple years ago, by the way. Which.
Oh, did he? Oh man.
Yeah.
But I will definitely. Yes, I've got so many things now. My list of things to watch. I got Fistful of Quarters. I've got CB4. My Sunday afternoon is shaping up, everybody. But
I wonder if they ever got any pushback from NWA, because, like, for example, their song on the CB4 song, and CB4 stands for Cell Block 4. And it was straight out of Low Cash.
Straight out of Low Cash.
The city they grew up in was Low Cash, California.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
great
Eddie
one.
Murphy, great. Where are we at? Who do we have left?
Well,
Is that it?
I think you and I each have one.
Okay.
There's one that I wanted to pick, but I was afraid someone else was going to pick it. So why don't you go first?
Are you sure? Okay. All right. Well, then I'll go first then. So this next iconic 80s, it's an icon in and of itself, I think. Like, if you think about the way that we process or consume home video games and entertainment today, we couldn't have gone without this. And I'm talking about the OG NES, the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short, was actually released in Japan in 1983, and within a couple of years had completely revolutionized the video game industry, and its effects are still felt today. The titles were great. It's like a who's who of classic 80s games. Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Contra, Donkey Kong, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I mean,
oh boy,
some great games. Am I right or am I wrong?
Starman and Fighter Hayabusa.
Starman
in pro wrestling.
I loved that wrestling game. A winner is you.
I'll never forget knocking out Mike Tyson.
Knocking out Mike Tyson.
There's two things I remember. I remember finishing Mario Brothers for the first time.
Right.
And I remember knocking out Mike Tyson.
Right.
That was
Contra.
That was Contra. We were huge on Contra.
Contra, yeah. A lot of people dug on that. I never played Contra, believe it or not. It was never my gig, or my wheelhouse or anything to play, but I never played Contra.
One of my favorite games was Ikari Warriors, I think it was called, where you can actually jump into a tank and keep going, or you can jump into a helicopter for a little bit of time.
Now, what was the end goal of that? Just to keep going, or?
Yeah, you just basically just kill everything in your path, and then.
Okay, so it's like a doom scroller, basically.
Yeah, it's basically like the game was vertical, so you're essentially like the whole.
Yeah.
You're trying to get to the end that way, whereas Contra was horizontal. You end up going that direction.
Okay, gotcha. A scroller.
Well, actually, both, just vertical and horizontal. Yeah. No, I like that. Now, of course, I didn't play really. I guess I did kind of play Legend of Zelda a little bit. But I'm with Biff. I was a Tyson Punch-Out fan. I enjoyed playing that game on the original NES.
Glass Joe, King Hippo.
Glass Joe.
Yeah. The other thing that they did too that was really great was that they sort of made an end goal. Whereas, like, if you played, say, Asteroids or Missile Command or Space Invaders, it just kept going.
Right.
To infinity, and nothing changed. This set actual goal. Like there were a couple. I think Atari put out Dungeons and Dragons, which actually had a goal, but it wasn't much. But this was like a narrative storytelling, like when you have like Zelda was, or I think the first Final Fantasy was Nintendo. I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right.
But they had a lot of those games where you actually had an end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And for all you sports fans, Tecmo Bowl.
Oh God, we were huge on Tecmo Bowl. There were two sports games to me that were iconic from Nintendo, and the second one's kind of off the board. It's just I loved it. The first one's Tecmo Bowl. That's the most all-time iconic sports Nintendo game. It's not even close.
Hmm.
The second one was, yeah. Oh God, awesome. Second one was a game called Baseball Stars.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And why I liked Baseball Stars is you could actually build your own team and name the players. And that at the time was crazy. So I had like an all-time Yankee team, like Babe Ruth hitting third, Lou Gehrig hitting fourth, Ricky
Right.
Henderson leading off. Like I had, you know what I mean? Like I could create anything. And that for Nintendo, that was kind of a really big deal that you could personalize something, because that had never happened in video games prior, you know,
Right.
Atari or you know,
And you could
whatever.
save it and come back to it. So if you, which is something that
Right.
you know, which is a huge thing.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Nintendo is absolutely 80s iconic.
Yeah, yeah. And people still use them to play today, classic and retro games. I think an original refurbished one will cost you around $150. Some of the games are a little more expensive, but
I actually have an emulator that has all the Nintendo, Super
Yeah.
Nintendo,
Okay.
N64, Atari, all those games all in one little thing.
Mhm.
And so I play Sega, NHL 93 PA, NHL PA 93.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Man,
one thing about Tecmo Bowl that I thought was great is that the first, I think it was the first, I don't know if there were what it was, but one year they didn't have the rights to use, the Cowboys never gave them the rights to use their names or anything like that. So they made them the worst team and they gave them pink uniforms. So Dallas has pink uniforms in one version of Tecmo Bowl and none of the name, which I think is just, as digs go, it's like you win this round.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's all I really have to say about the NES system. I mean, it's iconic in and of itself. There's not really much you could say about it. I mean, it stood the test of time. It still stands the test of time as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
People still play those games. So who am I? Miss Junk,
All right.
give us the last one, kid.
For sure, for sure. I'm glad I let you go first because I wanted to pick like the one that I wanted. Well, I picked it back up just in case, which was the space shuttle disaster. But I think ending on that note might be a little
Right.
little harsh.
Right.
So let's just go at throttle up with what the other one that I wanted to do. Pac-Man. It's got to be Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. Yes.
As far as the 80s, I think before NES, before you know, when we were talking earlier about like how, you know, like Mr. T had a cereal, you know,
Right.
like Pac-Man was such a sensation.
Right.
The Pac-Ree monster, he had a cereal, a cartoon, toys, then there was Miss Pac-Man, then there was Giant Pac-Man, there was a baby Pac-Man, and this is all before, you know, before Mario Brothers. So this was it. This was the like how many, when like the classic image of someone like on a video game, you know, like
Right.
with one hand on there, quarters on the top, like the 80s with the joystick in the arcade, you know, and the crowd of people watching. That is as iconic a scene as ever in an actual arcade, you know, like
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Miss Pac-Man was a better game because, you know, but
Because
they
she had a
those,
bow on her head.
yeah, yes. Yeah, but I think that there was actually those intermediate acts too, where they actually, you know, where she has to rescue him. So there was like the last stage where they get together. Well, I don't
Yeah.
think Pac-Man had that.
No.
But Pac-Man, yeah, it just, as far as I'm concerned, that's the classic. Like that's the best arcade game of all time, arguably, in term for when it was. I mean, since then, clearly we've gotten better graphics, better
Right.
stories. But I mean, for what
Yeah.
it did at the time, that's my icon of the 80s.
I used to have a Pac-Man pillow when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, it was shaped like Pac-Man, had his face on it and everything, but the mouth was like a slit, so you would put your neck
Oh wow.
and your head could rest. That was my favorite pillow of all time, was that Pac-Man pillow, because it had that spot for your neck.
Right.
I was
And,
like,
and
that's
I mean,
genius.
Pac-Man books, Pac-Man ghosts,
Books,
Pac-Man stickers, Pac-Man
ghosts,
candy, Pac-Man.
everything
Cartoon.
Pac-Man.
Saturday morning cartoon back then.
Yep.
I mean, my wife is a huge Miss Pac-Man. She's actually really good at it, and she's
Yeah.
not a video game player. But I got her for Christmas years ago a Miss Pac-Man cocktail table.
Oh, nice.
So one of those ones that you used to see in the pizza joints with the glass top.
Yeah.
And you sit down at it and look down and play.
Yeah.
We have one of those in our house. It has all the games. It has all the Pac-Mans, all the Dig Dug, Mr. Do.
Oh, yeah.
Shogun. Like, it just has all of the games. I think it has like 78 games inside of it. But the graphics on the side are all Miss Pac-Man. And it's black with all pink trim. And it's got Miss Pac-Man's pictures on the glass top and everything like that. So my wife absolutely loves Miss Pac-Man. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, when I used to see her every summer as a kid, she used to take me to the local arcade, and I got $2 worth of quarters. And then I'd beg for more after it was gone, but I would be playing Pac-Man at the arcade, my grandma's town. So yeah, no, super iconic.
Yeah.
And you could actually do a little bit, like, I think Donkey Kong was insanely difficult. So like if you had 4 quarters, you'd be gone in 10 minutes. Whereas Pac-Man, you had a chance. You had a chance to go a little bit further. So
yeah, there's a little more play.
I was big on Dig Dug and Donkey Kong. Those were where most of my quarters went.
Yeah.
There actually was a Mario Brothers before they were in NES, which was very similar to it was yeah, if you look it up, it was I used to like that game, but it wasn't the same as Super Mario Brothers, where you actually have like 8 levels. So it was basically just like the same board where you just try and crush turtles with a hammer.
Right. I know, I remember that.
Yeah, that was my one of my favorites. And then Super Nintendo came out, or then Nintendo the NES came out, and then it just changed it. But yeah.
Didn't I mean Mario is the antagonist in Donkey Kong, isn't he?
He's a protagonist in
Donkey Kong. The protagonist in Donkey Kong. So
look at our big words.
I know. Full of F-bombs and big words today.
Dialogue and
I think it was Princess
antagonist.
Peach too.
What was that?
I think it was Princess Peach that Donkey Kong kidnapped too, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Peaches, 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 peaches. I don't want to get sued. Somebody will fucking come up and sue me for that. Anyways, no, Pac-Man is fantastic. I couldn't think of a better way to maybe wrap this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Gosh, there were so many iconic 80s moments today that I can't even begin to think about it. I mean, we didn't even talk about Thundercats. We didn't even talk about we didn't talk about Legos. We didn't talk about any of the other good stuff. We could probably make this a series if we really wanted to. We'll have to think about that. We'll have to put some thought about that. We'll see how well this one does. Cuss words.
Just a whole series on the 80s, I think, was absolutely.
Yeah. We'd have to probably, feature a little more of a focus on it next time, like 80s toys, 80s movies, 80s, whatever. We can think about it.
I had a sports one that I couldn't believe I had to leave off, but I just wanted to keep them, just vast, more vast. I mean, there's definitely more I had on my list.
We can save them for next time, or
yeah, sure.
All right. I like it. I like that.
Always leave them wanting more, man.
That's right. I like that. I like it.
That's what us in the radio biz call our teams.
Oh my lord. Well, listen, you guys have anything else you want to share today? No, we're good. Listen, I want to thank all of you guys out there today for taking the time to be with us today. Tell us what you think in the comments. What was your favorite 80s moment? You want us to do a part 2? Let us know, and be sure to subscribe for more great content like this. For Miss Junk, I don't know if she's this way or this way, I don't know which way. And for Biff by Adam West, who's probably below us, we'll see you all right here next time for another totally tubular episode of Double AD. So long, everybody.